Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about past lives and how they affect our current lives. Guys, I have with me a very special guest by the name of Doug. He is an international artist. He is a musician as well and just a wonderful, wonderful guy. He reached out to me because he saw my Jeff Mora podcast, guys. I will link that in the description box, but I speak about past lives. I talk about the soul's journey. As you guys know, I love to talk about the soul because that is why we are here on the Earth School. But we're going to get into all that. But first, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. A year ago, I had a near-death-like experience, and ever since then, I could pick up on energies, and I could even hear from God itself. I was told it would take my soul 14,422 lifetimes to get it together. So I decided to start a social media platform so I could help more people speed this thing on up and finally get the heck up off this planet. Stressful being human. I'm ready to go. I have fun with that each and every time. Hey, Doug, what's going on today?
Hey, Tahirah. Well, I do agree with you on the stressful human being side of things, without a doubt. So it is very stressful to be a 3D material being on a 3D planet. But here we are, and we got to make the best of it.
Absolutely. So, okay, pretty much, Doug, I'm going to share with you a past life memory that I had. And then from there, we'll just let the conversation flow. Now, guys, this is very, very big because there has been a past life that has been affecting me for my entire life, and I had no idea. But let me just tell you what I was struggling with my entire life. As you guys know, I am an empath. I can feel what other people are feeling. I can pick up on energies very, very easily. And that can be sometimes very stressful because I'll get heart palpitations when I'm around too many different energies, or I just feel so empathetic for people to the point where it is not normal. So I've been struggling with this my whole life. And I've also been struggling to let things go. And I've also been struggling with manifesting, more importantly. So I wanted to kind of fix all of this, get my emotions in order, start manifesting things and not being so much in my head about it, but bringing things from my head out to the 3D world. So in meditation the other day, I was shown the past life that is affecting all of the emotions and all of those things that I just mentioned. So in this past life, I was shown myself looking through like a screen door. Now, this was back in the late 1800s. I'm kind of getting a sense it's in the 1890s era. So I was a Black woman and very beautiful, by the way. You know what? I'm always very beautiful in a lot of my past lives. So thank you for that. But anywho, so I was a Black woman and I was in love with a white male. Now, we were very young. I want to say we were probably 19, maybe 20 at the most. So I met this particular guy. He would come into town. My family and I, we were I guess we were in commerce, so we would sell like, wheat and, corn and grains and just things like that. And he would come into town and he would buy a lot of things because his family and he had a business as well. And that is how we met. And we had kind of, I want to say, a love affair. But of course it was secret, and it wasn't like an everyday occurrence because obviously the elephant in the room, I was Black and he was white. But we had very, very deep feelings for each other. So in this vision that Source showed me, I was looking at him through the house that he lived in. I was standing on the porch and I could see inside. I could see the fireplace, the crackling of the fireplace. I could see it was so warm. I just felt the warmth. And that warmth I was feeling was the love. I could even like sense that there was pies cooking in the oven. And I heard laughter from his family members coming from the inside. And all I could do was look with my eyes. I could hear, I could even smell the pies, but I couldn't actually physically possess it. I couldn't possess the relationship with him. I couldn't possess all of the things and plans that I had built up in my mind, meaning to get married to him, to have children with him, to build a life together, to grow old together, even to die together. Those are all of the things that I had built up. But because of the times, I wasn't actually able to materialize it. And his name was Benjamin. I was shown that his name was Benjamin. My name was Teasley. Okay. And Source made me understand that that is why I'm having a hard time manifesting, meaning I stay in my head a lot. And sometimes I'm not bold enough to ask for things. I know that I could get them, but sometimes I just don't ask because it's like the Teasley syndrome. Don't ask because you know you can't have it. You know, she couldn't physically have it because of the times. And I have carried that into this life. And not only did it stop me from manifesting or even asking, because I know how to manifest, but sometimes I just don't ask, you know? And also, too, with this past life, it made me understand that we stay in situations way too long in terms of like friendships that we have that we know are not good for us, loving relationships we have, we know that's not good for us, even family members that have done us wrong, we know that those relationships are not good for us. We will stay there for far too long because the Teasley, all she could do is she was just shocked. She was standing there looking. She never walked away because she was just stuck in time. She was just frozen in time. So through this past life, I'm now understanding that I have to allow Teasley to walk away. I have to allow Teasley to look at Benjamin and be happy for the life that he is living, even though she's not living that life with him. She can be happy for him and she can walk away, you know, with her strength and with her dignity. And she can also go and be happy as well. So I wanted to share that with you, but I did receive a confirmation. And I love when Spirit gives me confirmations about my visions of my past lives. So what I did was when Source told me that her name was Teasley, I actually Googled, you know, Teasley to see if I could find out anything about it. And guys, you know what it said? It said that Teasley, the name Teasley, it's a last name, that it was first found in Essex, England. Guys, my last name is Essex. So that was a great confirmation. Teasley is found in Essex, England. I actually used to live in Essex, England for a little while. My last name is Essex, and Teasley, Essex, Tahirah, Essex, same initials. So I just wanted to share that with you. And that was the confirmation that I got just to make sure that I was hearing correctly from Spirit. So that is the story. And Doug, if you have any questions, go ahead and fire them away and I will answer them.
Oh, well, it's a fascinating story. First of all, do you connect this up with you having a low opinion of yourself?
Absolutely. It's hard to kind of admit that because when I come on here, I come on my channel, I come with so much force, so much assurance about myself. It's because I just know what I know. I'm confident in talking about subjects like this. But when it comes to outside of this, it's like I always feel slightly that I'm not good enough. And it's because Teasley felt that she wasn't good enough. She wasn't good enough to be loved by the way that she wanted to.
Well, we have a lot in common because I often feel that I'm an extremely extroverted, shy person.
Hmm.
I'm actually very shy, and anyone that knows me goes, "Oh my God, you're so outrageously comfortable in the world, and you like start conversations, and you're like so engaged with everybody." And yet, I'm actually very, very shy. It's almost like I developed a strategy to overcome my shyness, and I'm not sure if
Mm-hmm.
my shyness has dovetails a little bit into the insecurity or the I'm not good enough or the whatever it is. But
Right.
let me ask you this, Tahira, because I'm going to ask some questions that are more. I'm going to ask questions that are more like I'm in the train of vibration that you're in. And then I'm going to ask
Right.
some questions that I would consider to be more a lay person's question, not knowing too much about what this is about. Okay.
Absolutely.
How much, because somebody could confuse this with your imagination. You're just imagining that you had this past life thing. You're just imagining it's just something that you had a dream. Some people are having dreams every day and they're not even giving them two thoughts and they're walking around the earth. And some people are having dreams like you and I, and we're seeing them as past lives. What would you say to people about how I know you had confirmation with the Essex and everything else. And I think I know the difference for myself, but how would you describe
Right.
that to people?
Well, and I love the fact that you said, is this just your imagination? Because the one thing I want to point out, guys, is in order to hear from spirit, in order to see beyond this veil, beyond the 3D, it all starts with imagination. You must have an imagination. So a lot of times when I receive channels, when I sit down to actually talk to spirit, the first thing I do is activate my imagination. Because what that does is, see, what you have to understand is everything that exists has already existed. You cannot think of something that doesn't already exist somewhere. It may not exist in your current reality, but it exists in a different time, on a different dimensional plane. It's already out there. So our imagination is how we access all of this information that's already out there. So when I sit down to talk to spirit, I start with my imagination. And I can actually tell, normally the first question that I ask, okay, it says it's going to end us in 10 minutes. I don't like that. But first question I ask is usually based off of just my own thought. Then I can actually hear the progression when it switches over to me actually receiving from my highest divine thought, aka source, the one divine consciousness that we all come from. So it does start with an imagination, to answer your question.
Well, I mean, that's perfect because we were speaking already about the fact that imagination is something we all were given because we're creators, and
Right.
every thought is a thing. And this is a very difficult thing for a lot of people to understand, that a thought is a thing. We mostly don't think of thoughts as things. Thoughts like, oh, whatever, it's just a little fluttering thing that goes out into the air and it has no content. But a thought is actually a thing. This gets involved into the manifesting because what you think to manifest, let's say you think something, and then immediately other thoughts are going to come into your head that are doubtful thoughts.
Right.
Like, well, I can't do that. No, that's impossible. I can't do that. I want to be this, but then that's not for me. I can't do that. And what you have to understand is you've just created things. That's why you have to think of the manifestation things more and cover over the doubtful things. You have to do a lot of that. And you have to continue to do that, carry that through in order to make these manifestations real. So thoughts are things, and you're very right. when I said just your imagination, that's as if your imagination is just a menial thing. Not. It's the majority of our creative ability comes from imagination, and so much of my art and my music and the things that I've come up with were thoughts and imaginations first, and now they're manifested.
Absolutely. And another thing what that does is it gives it puts a confidence in spirit. So even though when we channel, really we're just getting information from our source itself, right? But what it does is when you start with your imagination and you really believe what you're hearing, it gives that confidence to spirit that you trust them. You trust them that what you are hearing is correct. And once you have that trust, it's just the imagination. It's just like a kid. You truly believe that you can fly. It is the same thing. So when I put myself in that state and I put myself, in that childlike imagination state, I'm giving the universe trust. I'm saying, I trust that what you're saying is true. And I could literally feel the vibration. And actually, I mean, I am a creator God. So it does start off still hearing from God, but I can feel the progression as the divine information starts to get outside of this realm. So that's just, very important what I want to say. And just kind of going back to the whole Teasley situation, when you were like, you don't think that very high of yourself. Now, I know that I have great potentials. I know I am a confident person, but see, I had to uncover all of this stuff, because you might say I'm confident. You might say that you have all this, belief in yourself, but sometimes our actions are saying the opposite. That is what was going on. My actions were contradicting what I'm actually saying. And when I had that past life memory come up, now I'm able to admit to myself that, hey, maybe I don't think as highly of myself as I once thought that I did. And now I understand why. It's because I never felt good enough to actually possess that in that particular life. And what it does is kind of puts us in situations, relationships that we don't feel good enough to be in, although we are more than worthy and capable, and we're exuding that energy. So in return, we get treated like we don't deserve to be there. So really, most of these things, these problems we're having, it's stemming from our past lives on a soul level. And that's one of the reasons why we keep coming back. Now, I do talk a lot on my channel about the heaven matrix. There are some people who are coming back because they're getting tied up in the archonic beings, guys. Just as much as there's good out there in the spirit world, there's also bad. But some of us come here on purpose. Some of us come here to fix things. I believe that I came into this life to fix that. That is why I was born as a Cancer, because we are naturally intuitive. We are naturally in tune with our emotions. I'm here to pull that out, to heal that aspect of me. Because although I'm saying Teasley, it's still me. It is, an imprint on my soul that must be dealt with. Because if I don't deal with it, I'm going to end up back here trying to repair it. So sometimes we set ourselves up. We give ourselves a perfect scenario, such as our birth dates, and the astrological sign that we're going to be born underneath, and even the meaning of our name. My name means purity. And I've lived that life that way my whole life. And I think I needed to have that in order to talk to spirit, to have a pure heart. And my family calls me the pure hearted one. So I'm able to hear it from spirit that way. And I'm setting this whole scenario up for myself. And some people say, oh, you meet with your counsel and your guides, and you guys map out a plan, for your life, So on some level, through this experience, I do have to believe that. I do.
So a lot of people will struggle with a few concepts. One of them being that we choose to come here. So this is a major concept that most people think, well, I'm born and I'm here. So, you know what I mean? Like that's now I'm here. I don't know. I don't give it too much thought about where did I come from or how did I get here or I chose my parents. And more in the sort of like the more modern speak today is, oh, did you know you chose your parents? Like I hear it more now than I used to hear it years ago.
Right.
Like,
Right.
chose your parents. Well, what do you mean? How did I choose my parents? And then I would never choose those people as my parents and all those kinds of jokes that go along.
Right. Right. Right.
But to think that we mapped out our life and chose our life and said, let me go to mom and dad here in this quadrant of the planet opens up a whole bunch of other things because then, you know, okay, now I happen to live a good life and I had wonderful parents, but I know a lot of people that we all know a lot of people that live in very, very difficult circumstances in horrendous places in the world who are being oppressed or tortured or have like starvation issues or
Right. Right. Right.
I mean there's so many heinously scary scenarios that people have in life and born paralyzed, born this, born that. I chose that. It's like, and I actually still, I've put a lot of study into this, as you know, here, and I actually still believe that we did. I do believe we did because if you're on the other side, if you're on the spirit side, prior to coming in the game, let's say you're on the, I'll make a sports analogy. Let's say you're on the football sidelines. And like the game is on and like you're out there and you know you're going to get crunched and but we need you, Doug, we need you to get out there and we need you to try to run this play and just break through that line. I'm already safe on the sidelines and that gives me strength to say I'm going to volunteer myself into the game. It's only going to be temporary anyway. And since there is no time or space on the other side, this 80 or 90 or 60 or 40-year life is really just a temporary thing.
It is. And, you know, I want to be clear because the thing about it is there are two aspects, like I touched on before. There is part of this experience for some people that is forced upon us. And that's what they don't talk about a lot in the kind of like NDE community. A lot of people, they never question that. Is there a negative entity making me come down here and doing these things? And I touched upon that. I have videos about that on my channel. There has been studies